Signore e signori, abbiamo il piacere e l'onore di avere con noi Sua Altezza Serenissima il Principe Alberto II di Monaco. Sua Altezza ha raccolto l'eredità del bisnonno Alberto I, scienziato ed esploratore, che creò a Parigi l'Istituto Oceanografico e nel Principato di Monaco un museo oceanografico. Il Principe Alberto II ha istituito nel 2006 la fondazione che porta il suo nome, avviando un articolato programma di sostegno e sensibilizzazione alle politiche di sviluppo sostenibile, con particolare attenzione alla risorsa acqua. Sua Altezza Serenissima presenterà oggi le iniziative dedicate all'ambiente e alla sostenibilità avviate dalla Fondazione. Je passe la parole à Son Altesse Sérénissime, le Prince Albert II de Monaco.
Magnifico oratore, autorità, signore e signori, buon pomeriggio. Innanzitutto vorrei esprimervi il grande piacere che mio di essere qui con voi per questo incontro, per questa conferenza che mi rallegra sinceramente. Continuo in inglese, purtroppo. This is indeed an extraordinary opportunity to meet eminent personalities, scientists, and academics, to whom I'd like to extend my warmest greetings. It is always important for me and I think all of us to exchange. I'd also like to give my greetings and salutations to Professor Fontanesi, the rector of this wonderful University of Bicocca. At this event, this event could not have taken place without his implication. Thank you very much. This meeting is also an opportunity to reassert the profound solidarity which unites Italy and the Principality of Monaco in many areas, among which environmental protection. Our two countries, so close in their history, linked by their geography, and mutually supportive in the face of the challenges of the future, must progress together more than ever, in particular, to address these problems that we share, like the ones that brings us here together this afternoon, our love and care for the Mediterranean. The threats weighing on the Mediterranean Sea are far too serious and critical to be isolated and for isolated actions to be considered. Together with all other Mediterranean countries, especially our neighbors in the European Union, we must mobilize our forces with determination in an orderly and consistent way. This is the only way to effectively be able to prevent disasters that would necessarily occur as a result of our negligence or inaction. What are these disasters? They are, of course, the visible, even spectacular disasters that punctuate the daily news. A few weeks ago, we all have these images still in our minds of the wreck of the Costa Concordia, which was a reminder to all of us of the constant and sudden threats that our Mediterranean can be under. But there are other hazards too, though they are not obviously as visible, but no less of a menace to the endangered sea. Ladies and gentlemen, just as my father, Prince Rainier, had warned nearly a half a century ago, along with Captain Cousteau, the sea we share is still in peril today. First, it is endangered by those of us who live on its shores without sufficiently respecting this heritage to which we owe so much. Today, nearly 500 million people live in this limited area, including 150 million on the coastline itself, to which we must add nearly 300 million tourists every year. This increasingly concentrated and urbanized population is the prime cause of the threats weighing on the region. Indeed, the millions of men, women, and children occupying these shores obviously need to eat, live, exchange, and to those ends, produce, trade, and consume. And these essential activities are today often accomplished unreasonably, disregarding all prospects of sustainability. The constant growth in maritime traffic with larger ships increases the risks, especially those of hydrocarbon pollution. Not to mention the intentional discharge we still observe. With the erosion of halieutic resources, fishing is concentrated in the areas with the richest biotopes. Intensive trawling destroys the sea floors, which are often, as well, spawning areas. An emblematic and oh so dramatic example that we all know very well, the overfishing of bluefin tuna, is disrupting the entire food chain. And the development of aquaculture is no more reassuring, since it too is a potential source of many pollutions and the transmission of epizooties. Another threat that is emerging for the future is the revival of activity in the area limited to exploration, but of course with prospects of subsequent exploitation of fossil fuels that could exist along our shores. The environmental hazards inherent to such activities, like those linked inevitably to the resulting devaluation of our region's tourism capital, should lead to examining such threats more rigorously and, in my personal opinion, to exclude them, especially since the potential for renewable energy available in our region is considerable and very much underexploited. I believe very strongly in solar energy, so abundant, especially in the southern part of the Mediterranean, and that could provide powerful leverage for sustainable development tomorrow. In this sense, I find the desert tech concept very interesting. By 2050, it could provide Europe with 15% of its energy solely on the basis of sunlight. In the desert reaches south of the Mediterranean, and such a concept would open vast prospects for access to clean, inexhaustible energy as well as development. The sea, with all its wealth and beauty, home to 80% of marine species in just 0.8% of the surface and 0.3% of the volume of ocean's waters all over the globe, is greatly weakened today. This observation is reinforced because of the menacing planetary context. The increase of global warming, the decreased rainfall, the ocean acidification, with a progression in the Mediterranean comparable to that of oceans, and the proliferation of invasive species, all are additional factors destabilizing these ecosystems. So, ladies and gentlemen, such are the very concrete perils that jeopardize the future of the sea we share and against which we must find answers, both realistic and effective. These hazards do not all result from pollution, I grant you that, but if we must seriously examine the true nature of pollution and possible remedies, how can we not see that it is only one aspect among so many others to explain the fragility of our planet? How can we ignore the fact that it only compounds the dire situation of the sea, which such predatory activity has made the martyr sea, according to the UN formula? Defending the environment is meaningless if it is not undertaken for the sake of humankind, for the long-term survival of populations, the development and progress of people to preserve and enhance the lives of all. Paradox inherent to any reflection on the protection of our planet. It is for the sake of the people that we must fight, and we must struggle against certain human tendencies, against the human trend that entails using available resources without any restriction whatsoever, going against the reflex that involves thinking in terms of immediate gains rather than the long term. To resolve this contradiction, we have no other choice than to conceive another mode of development that satisfies both the planet's requirements and its inhabitants' aspirations, especially for those people who struggle for access for essential goods, water, hygiene, health, and food. They are concentrated for the most part on the southern shore and request accelerated development for their regions. This is their hope and legitimate dream. The more we allow the gap between the two shores to widen, the worse the problems will become, including from a strictly environmental standpoint, since ecological threats are always more serious in a troubled economic context. We can see this today with the financial crisis that has shaken Europe. Affected populations have led too often to neglecting the obligation of environmental protection. There has already emerged an essential awareness on these issues. Further progress is accomplished year after year with new ideas toward another development model. I'd like to emphasize the importance of efforts undertaken within European institutions, where the gradual construction of convergent binding environmental legislation has achieved major advances. This awareness was necessary, and I believe it is now on the right track. We can only hope that from now on we will see the effects extended to other environmental issues, fishing in particular, for which Europe has an indispensable regulatory role to play. This is particularly true in that different countries concerned are also devising interesting prospects. The multiplication of initiatives, especially on a regional level, will enable us to progress sustainably. To mention an example I know well, the Ramoge Agreement between France, Italy, and Monaco has made it possible for over 30 years to conduct major scientific, technical, legal, and administrative cooperation for a better integrated management of the coastline and protection against pollution. In the wake of this agreement, of the Ramoge Agreement, the Ramoge-Pol plan on accidental pollution is another key tool for addressing such major hazards that are unfortunately too recurrent. I'd like to stop for a moment on these initiatives based on a philosophy that I believe to be essential: the delimitation of priority perimeters, exclusive economic zones, and marine protected areas, to be able to preserve certain essential areas against all risk of direct pollution. Born from the fertile cooperation between our three countries, France, Italy, and the Principality of Monaco, the Pelagos Agreement offers an example that we should develop with great ambition and energy, and for which it is my ardent wish that the political will for action not be thwarted by administrative inflexibility or vain institutional debates. On the base of such fruitful partnerships with the private players and local people, other protected marine areas having proven their effectiveness in many parts of the Mediterranean and in other seas on the planet, they have achieved genuine ecological, economic, scientific, and educational success. Indeed, if it is essential for all action to be taken in the interest of people, we must also work with these populations by convincing them and associating them with these actions. It is not a matter of opposing their development. It is simply one of supervising and orienting it in a better way to make it compatible with environmental constraints. By working in partnership with populations, we can preserve the part of their heritage we know to be essential. For their future is as for all of us. This is the meaning of the actions conducted by the foundation I was able to create in 2006 and which had led today to many projects in the Mediterranean area in particular. Around the three major themes: preserving biodiversity, the fight against climate change, and conserving water resources. In every case, we work in a noble spirit of partnership in which people are very much implicated, and so that they can understand that it is for them and with them that we will preserve our Mediterranean Sea's unique heritage, which is several millennia old. There's a guarantee of both respect and efficiency. The issue here is to protect our sea, our region, from the damage caused by pollution. And we will be able to do so only in a spirit of openness and partnership with those living in these regions. It is an essential principle. It is also my conviction as a player who has been active in this area, in this environmental area for many years. Against pollution, we must have the support of Mediterranean populations. The Mediterranean Sea is their source of life, the cradle of their dreams, and the garden of their subsistence. When this source is polluted, their very survival is at stake. When there is a threat to the survival of peoples around the sea we share, our entire civilization is shaken. Therein lies the profound power of the sea, where all of us originated and which continues to embody an ideal as much as our hope, that of making us aware of the strengths and weaknesses of a civilization born from the sea and that we cannot let die. Those millennia-old landscapes that are so powerful and so intimately linked to our culture concentrate our collective destiny. In summary, all of the more striking is that we have the capacity of writing it ourselves. In the words of Alberto Camus in the Amour de Vivre, I quote, "Never perhaps has a country, if not the Mediterranean Sea, carried me both so far, yet so close to myself." Thank you very much.